What's up, Ian?
Hello. How's it going?
This is hilarious. Hey, Bailey.
Hello.
Hi, this
Okay.
is my first Survivor Michigan podcast.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You've never
Yeah.
done one of these?
No, I've never been invited. And I technically wasn't even invited to this one either.
What?
Yeah, after Sarah Avery bailed, I reached out to like some of these other guys because basically the whole thing was originally I was just doing people who weren't going to be on All Stars.
Yeah.
That's like the
That
whole
makes sense.
that was like the whole point of the whole thing, sort of to like include people who you weren't going to see otherwise, so that
Yeah.
the fans or whoever, if you are mad you're not getting more Sarah Z or more whoever Maggie,
Yeah.
then you can get more of them this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
That
good
makes
for me to
sense.
get my fan favorite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is you just playing Survivor with
Yeah.
the fans ahead of time.
I feel like this isn't, even though I am on All Stars, I feel like this isn't too bad, just in the sense that like I haven't done any of these. Like people don't really see that much of me, so it's
Yeah.
not like, because I feel
Yeah.
like there are other people that you just like see a lot of.
They
I
all.
can't believe Mike is joining. This is so funny to me.
I know,
I haven't
dude.
seen Mike in years.
He was a big get. I was really excited that he
Yeah.
agreed to do it.
And Mallory too, actually. Mallory's a big get.
Hey,
Mike.
Mike.
What's going on?
What's up? This is hilarious.
The reunion. I've been watching the was it the countdown of the 10 best moments. I love the Kevin kissing Nick one. That was my favorite that I went.
I feel
Is
like
that your...
everyone forgets that ever happened.
Yeah, it was pretty early on. It was like episode 2, I thought.
Kevin
It
was
was-
saying some pretty funny stuff about that. He like really didn't want to kiss Nick.
I think what's best about that is the way it's like produced, like Kevin's interview on top of it, where it's like, I didn't think that like my guardian angel would come in and be Nick.
Well, Bailey, weren't you supposed to do it originally?
Yeah, and then I was like, no, I won't be doing that. I
Were you
was like,
thinking it?
that's not something I'm willing to do for this show at this point.
Oh,
That's
so you
so
just didn't
funny.
want to kiss Kevin?
Yeah.
So you faked like being sick?
Yeah, I mean, now I would just say I'm not doing it. Like, you know what I mean? But I didn't know you people. Like,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be like blamed if we like lost out on the points, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which like I might have anyway, but like it would have been a lot worse if I like just wouldn't do it.
Oh,
Hi,
shoot.
Jack.
Hey,
What's
how's it going?
up?
What's up, Jack?
hey,
Nice
What?
mustache.
Yeah, love the stash, dude.
thank you. I'm not sure. My mom doesn't like it, but my girlfriend likes it, so it's Gotta
Mom's
balance.
too.
yeah.
What's up, Mallory?
Mallory,
Hey,
what's
guys.
up?
Hey,
Hi.
hey.
Also, Sarah, I love your hair.
Oh, thank you.
It's
It's
probably
like kind of
about-
long. It's really long.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen you in a minute, so I don't know if it's new, but it looks really good.
Oh yeah, it like subtle highlight. It like shows up a lot on Zoom for some reason. It's like not that dramatic.
Boys, all of your hair looks amazing too, and Bailey, your hair looks amazing.
Thank you.
And Jack the stash. I know people are
Yeah.
talking about that, but
Thank you. Hey,
Hello.
Hey, Maggie.
Hello.
Didn't expect to see you here, Bailey.
I know I was a last minute addition.
She got bumped up off the bench after Sarah Avery bailed.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody to Survivor Michigan Leaders in Best reunion. It's great to see all of you here. We're just gonna, get back together, talk a little bit about the season and where everyone's at now. So if you guys want to just introduce yourselves and say, who you are and what you've been up to since the season ended all those years ago.
What's up, guys? It's Sarah. Since Survivor, I guess it was like 4 years ago now. I guess I graduated, I was working, and I've lived in a couple cities now. So I started in Chicago, I was in New York City, San Francisco, and now I'm currently in San Diego.
Wow. A
Yeah,
lot of cities there, Sarah. Like
a lot of cities. Yeah.
So what have I been up to? I think so. It was both of our senior years, right? That we did.
Mhm.
Yeah. So obviously graduated. Lived in Boston pretty much the whole time. It's pretty much home for me. I bought a condo recently, and
Oh,
I live with my girlfriend and our dog, Delaney.
Bailey, how about you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, I mean, since season 2, I produced a couple seasons, and then it's not a secret anymore. I play again, and then I graduated in 2020, and I've been in Chicago ever since, working.
Nice.
Jack, Mr. Mustache Man, how about you?
since Survivor, I've grown a mustache. That's about it. No, but yeah. So obviously, yeah, I played again in season 4, which was great, and then, yeah, moved to Kansas City after graduation. Lived there for a couple of years and met my girlfriend Brooke there. Now we both moved to Denver. So we've also, kind of been all over. I love that we're all kind of like spread out across the country, so many different cities.
Yeah, so got married, which was great and still is great. I'm in my last year of medical school, so 1 year away from doctordom, I guess. And other than that, I mean, I still run, I still dabble in baking, still have never watched a single episode of Real Survivor. Um, yeah, my reality TV game is just as poor as it was 4 years ago. So hopefully I've grown in other ways.
Still whelmed.
Still.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, very bummed. Yeah.
Tough to follow that one, Mallory. Very much not married. I live in Chicago. Not much has happened since Survivor. I have lived a few places, couple of jobs, but I mean, there's a lot that's happened, but like at the same time, it feels like a week ago that we were all together.
Yeah.
So let's get into a little bit. What about it made you guys want to do Survivor Michigan to begin with? Like, do you remember where you saw it or what made you interested in doing it?
I remember applying for the first season and not getting in. And I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't put a lot of time in my application. And then I saw it again going into that last semester. And I was like, I'm going to put a lot more time into this application. And I just thought it'd be a cool thing to try before the end of school. I think when you get to senior year, I know a lot of you weren't seniors, but you just get to a point where like, screw it. When am I going to get opportunity just to try something like this again? So that's really all that I thought about. I just thought it'd be a cool thing. I've always loved Survivor.
Yeah. I don't remember where I saw this, but I stumbled upon Survivor Maryland. And so I binged like a lot of the Survivor Maryland episodes and I was like, this is so cool. And then I saw that Survivor Michigan had one. And I also applied for the first season and I didn't get it. But then I saw Leia was on it and I knew Leia from like my childhood. And so I was like, get me on the next season. So I think she's a big reason why I got cast on season 2.
I'd seen the season 1 application on Facebook, and I remember being like, oh, that's kind of cool, and then like forgot about it. And then when I saw season 2, I was kind of like, I want some new stuff to join. I like hadn't really watched Survivor, but I like knew what it was, and I was like, that's like super different, like seems like something like just like different to join.
Yeah, I think a friend of mine who also runs sent me the link to I didn't know that season 1 had happened, so it was just the link to season 2. And I like the outdoors, which is what I thought this whole thing was about. So seemed like a natural fit. There we go.
So just to be clear, what did you think it was gonna be,
Literally, I have a tent and a backpack and I can build a fire. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna be like literal survival in the outdoors. Like maybe get put in the arb, you have to survive for as long as you can. I don't even know.
So
Wait,
like
so
the show
what was
alone.
going through your head when you were like filling out the application? Because I felt like the questions were like somewhat specific.
I I honestly don't even remember. Because like I mean I'm a pretty good online researcher. So once I like did research about CBS Survivor and like looked up cast people and was like famous Survivor players, blah 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 blah. and I saw that it was like pretty outdoorsy and like you had to get your own food and live in a deserted area. So I didn't realize that it was like much more social being on a college campus. I thought that we were gonna like go to the metro parks on the weekends because that's just where my mind went. But
Funnily enough, I actually have Mallory's application pulled up here.
nice.
And
Oh.
so on some of your questions, you said your favorite Survivor player was Parvati. So you must-
She was the top one that I Googled. So I have no idea. I still don't even know who that person is. So that's good.
And you said you were intense and disciplined.
That's
wow.
true.
Um,
That is true.
and you described your strategy for, yeah, like physically surviving. You said, depending on the availability of resources, I don't want to have too many preconceived notions about my plans. Which I guess could be read either
That
way.
still feels
Yeah.
applicable somehow.
Mhm.
Nice.
I have a very different reason that I applied. I had gone through a breakup the summer before senior year, and I just like spent 10 minutes on the application, was like, I need to meet boys. My mom's telling me to do something that I enjoy. She's like, go like join a club or something. And I was like, God, I don't want to join a club. And then I saw Survivor and I was like, well, that could be fitting. So completely different intention.
How'd that work out?
Super well, multiple times, super well. So
So would you say that the experience was like what you guys expected? Or did you realize, I guess, how much time it was going to take or sort of how intense it becomes over the course of it?
The gameplay was what I expected, but I don't love like having a camera like, oh, look at me, I'm taking a selfie or any of that. So I feel like a lot of my game, I did a somewhat poor job documenting. And I think a lot of people can recall like we'd have a full conversation and then I'd like awkwardly film both of us and like outline what we talked about, like the Spark Notes version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I remember
Which I
that.
guess I wasn't expecting a camera crew or anything. So don't get me wrong there, but like I do think like kind of along the lines of the texting, like there were some things that you struggle to document because you just don't know what's going to be significant and when it's going to happen.
We had a question in the poll that we sent out that was, what were people's favorite moments? And a lot of the ones that came up were the fight between Bailey and Maggie at the infamous snow challenge, Steal the Bacon. So,
yes.
there was obviously a lot that went into this. There's this whole Maggie and Jeremy drama and all of this. So, I guess, what were you guys' reactions to any of that?
I kind of felt like Dean from The Office, just like at the camera, just like, what's going on here? You guys seeing what I'm seeing?
I thought it was funny. It was so dramatic too. But like in the moment, it didn't seem that dramatic because we were all like heated.
Yeah. I feel
I
like
really
that
feel
didn't
like-
translate like how freaking like cold and like tired we all were.
Yeah, I remember we were sending people between rounds like into the library to like warm up because I
Yeah.
remember I didn't know much about Survivor really before Cooper, who I was friends with, got me to like help out with it. And I remember thinking like, yo, this is like borderline hazing. You're like, this is really fucked up. You're like, these people's like hands are freezing and people are like drawing blood. Maggie had like Bailey in a chokehold at one point. I remember being like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I think the thing that like surprised me the most is just like how like visceral like the tribal, I don't know, hatred towards each other
Yeah.
was. Like they're feeling like it wasn't like, I think that was the biggest surprise thing, even like going into this season. Like I didn't realize how much we would just all just get into like the tribal group think of, yeah, fuck Cerulean, let's go Ohana, yeah, beat him
Because I
up.
think like other seasons, like you just wouldn't like it really is like it can happen or it like totally
Yeah.
doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of what was, I don't know, like I feel like I didn't really do a lot of research before playing. Like I had watched Survivor as a kid, but had not watched it or any form of Survivor prior to playing. And like my memories of Survivor were like, oh, you're on a team and like that, or you're on a tribe and like that's your tribe and like that. So I feel like when I was playing, like my mindset went to like high school sports and like, screw that guy, like this is our team
Yeah.
kind of shit. So yeah, that was definitely different. Looking back, I'm like, oh right, we're gonna have to like those people again. Forgot that part.
I feel like this is notable. This episode was the only episode that I ever rewatched from our entire season because I just was so curious about like what it looked like from everyone else's perspective. And obviously like the tribal was pretty legendary from what I heard. I wasn't there. But yeah, so I think it was just very dramatic. And I remember calling my mom after and being like, Mom, I'm literally on a reality TV show. Like there are people like flashing each other and like swearing at each other. This is so crazy. And she's like, you've been in college for 3 years and this is the first time you're seeing this stuff. So yeah, that's it really. It left enough of a mark on me that I went back and watched it. So that was notable.
So is that the only episode of Survivor you've ever seen? Like,
Yeah. And it's yeah, for sure.
Maggie, you were sort of at the center of a lot of these controversies, you know. What was your thought process like at the time? Like, did you feel like you were putting on a character, or was that just like really you? Or I don't know, how did you feel about it then versus how do you feel about it now?
So, Mike touched on this a little bit. Like when you're at a point in senior year, you're kind of like, I can do whatever I want. Like I have a job. I know what the future looks like. Like, I don't know. You're kind of in this zone of like, you're on top of the world. It's college. It's senior year of college. So yeah, I mean, to some degree, I was like definitely leaning into that. And I was like, I'm never going to see these people again. I'm never going to be in this town again. Just peace. See you guys. Whatever I do, what happens here stays here. But obviously it doesn't because it's online. And now like my mom will introduce me to people and she'll be like, yeah, like my daughter's so feisty. Like she was in this online TV show and like, pull it up. Like it's so you. And I'm like, Mom, like that's not a good moment like for me. I don't want to show your like friend I've never met that my stomach says fuck you cerulean on it as like the first thing that they know about me.
Here's 12 hours of content of my daughter.
Literally, they're like at my peak fuck boy. So
Well, going off that a little bit, have any of you guys shown it to any of your significant others or your family or friends or anybody?
Yeah, I know. Actually, I think it came up like pretty early on in like texting with my girlfriend, and I feel like she told me later that she and like her roommate would like watch like because I think it was when season 4 was coming out maybe, or it was like just after, and they would like watch me and like, oh god, now I feel embarrassed. I don't think you still want to be with me, but yeah.
So cute. I never like tell people to watch it, but like if it comes up, people are like, oh, it's on YouTube. And like, it's like, yeah. And I actually like at my very first job interview, which was like in person pre-pandemic, like it was coming up a lot just because that's like what I did in college. And like the guy who would end up being my boss, like pulled it up like while I was like interviewing for this job. And I was like, oh, I should not have like met, like, I was like, they really might not give me this job if they like this is like the worst of me. Like people can't be seeing this like right now.
but it's the best of us too. The competitive part, like dogs love that. Like we all are doing so much because we do have that competitive drive,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, bless my husband, he hasn't watched it because I told him I was like, it's really embarrassing, and I like basically narrated the entire thing as we were going through it. So he hasn't watched it. But my mom has, my sister has, and Brittany from season 1 is in my med school class, and she tells like everyone in our med school about it. So I think
Really?
so I think a lot of our classmates have secretly watched it.
Oh.
Maggie, I don't know. Okay, no, you totally. I don't know why I was almost going to say, I don't know if you remember this because you definitely do, but Maggie hosted a dinner party and there was like a ton of people that like like I didn't know that were there, and like
Oh,
and
like
Maggie was like,
recently.
look what we did, and like pulled up like the video of us like rolling around in the snow.
It was Thanksgiving. We were saying like, what are you thankful for? How do you all know each other? And then we were like, Survivor, because Nick was there, a few
But
other
you guys might
survivors.
need to give some context for this.
Bailey and I are really good friends.
Yeah.
Besties, sleepovers,
Oh, yeah, the
hangouts.
whole
I see
thing.
her every week, multiple times.
Oh yeah.
FaceTime her almost every other day. Yeah.
Wow.
Aw, that's awesome.
That you're never gonna see her again in your life.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I was wrong.
How, if I had told you that like right after that fight in the snow,
Yeah.
like how likely would you have, if I had said I'm from the future, like would
I
you?
had a lot of respect for that girl. Like we both
Thank
did.
you.
We both knew. Like we were like,
That's
don't
the
know.
thing is I totally would have believed it, because the problem was like you had like, it didn't seem like it at the time, but you had two very similar girls on different tribes, like just the loudest, like most like will call you out on your bullshit people on different tribes.
So now we're on the same tribe and we do it to each
Yeah.
other.
To bring some controversy into the discussion, obviously the final three was Mallory, Nick, and Lucy. I think unquestionably somewhat of a controversial final three. Somebody asked if anyone who was on the jury, so I guess that would be Mike, Sarah, I guess it would be all of you guys except for Bailey. In the years since, do you ever regret your vote? Do you ever feel like you shouldn't have voted for Mallory and should have voted for?
No hard feelings. I will plug my ears.
Or Maggie, you voted for Nick, so the opposite. Do you feel like you should have voted for Mallory or Lucy instead of Nick?
I feel like I voted for who I thought should win. Yeah.
I think a big thing for me was Mallory, always like voted on the right side of things. I thought that was like really big, like towards the end, like Mallory, pulling off like things I didn't expect of her, lying to me to my face and all of that. Like I feel like something that I kept coming up when I was discussing it was that like I never really felt like Nick like surprised me. I guess it just maybe it was like the point of like where he was in the game. Maybe it was harder for him to do that, but it felt like he was just kind of like getting lucky and not doing a ton on his own stuff. Whereas and that's not super true looking back on it. I don't know. I don't want to get too rambly, and a lot of the stuff isn't as clear as it was to me after watching it and talking about it for years. But I just I felt like Mallory was very cool. Still is very cool.
I mean, I had gone to that thing, the tribal council, and I knew I was going to vote for Mallory just because of the way things shook out with Nick. I mean, I remember my question. I don't necessarily remember my full rationale, but I remember saying like, Mallory, you have as much time as you want to plead your case. Lucy, I'll give you one sentence, and Nick, you get a word. Just putting in my own little handicap to try and sway the votes the way I wanted them to go. I mean, my whole relationship with Nick got super weird because we were, connected early on, and then we had a bit of a fallout as I was kind of making moves with Sarah, and I didn't tell him about it, and he just couldn't look past that. And then the whole time I felt like he was like, oh, we're good, like let's be close, and I knew he was always just like crossing me. So I think what I learned when I watched like Real Survivor, because I feel like maybe not the last season but 2 seasons ago, and I'm blanking on the guy's name. Maybe one of you can help me. He had long hair. He played a really good game. Kind of was like,
Xander?
Yeah. I thought he played a great game. I was like, oh, I'm just watching this finale to see Xander win. And then he didn't get like a single vote. And I was like, maybe I'm missing something here. And I kind of thought back to my experience, and I was like, maybe there is more to these connections that you can't see in the show. That is really what people want to vote for. At the end of the day, I think people are more apt to vote for the people they played with or people they were friends with or whatnot, rather than like, oh, respect your game, bro. Like, gotta respect the game. I'm gonna give you my vote. So, yeah, as much as I get disappointed when people like Xander don't win in Survivor, I can't say I was any better and those people. I knew going into that I was just voting for Mallory. I think I showed up drunk and drinking beers, so I had a full plan when I got there.
Yeah, I think going into Final Tribal Council, I was more I wasn't like 100% voting Nick or Mallory. I think for me a big part was how they both fielded the questions at Final Tribal Council, and I think from my perspective, like Nick was taking credit for more things that I at the time didn't think that he should be taking credit for, but I will say I do give him a lot more credit now, like as I've like reflected on how he's played his game, just because it is really hard to play from the bottom. Like he thought he was going home so many weeks and like managed to get out of that. But I think at the time I thought of it more like, oh, we just decided like it was our choice not to send him home. Like we could have sent him home. And I think that's why at the time I was like not respecting it as much, but it definitely is, hard to play from the bottom. So I give him way more respect for that now, but I wouldn't change my vote.
Mallory, how was all this for you? Obviously, you were really tight with Nick and all of these guys. And I'm sure obviously you really wanted to win and stuff. But you also probably knew sort of that Nick like thought he was gonna win. So I don't know, how was that mentally? I feel like that's kind of an interesting paradigm.
I felt guilt immediately after, and I still like when I think about it, feel guilt today because I feel like I don't talk about Survivor ever. I never bring it up. Brittany brings it up sometimes, but I feel like if Nick would have won the season, that would be like his fun fact in the fun fact circle. That would be like something he would talk about at a job interview and like something he would reflect fondly on. And I feel guilty that it would have meant a lot more to him to win for like his passion for the show, for the real show, for Survivor Michigan. And that was difficult to deal with. Like, as much as I was, honored and flattered, and like, I mean, I played to win, I guess you could say. Yeah, I do feel kind of torn about it because I know that it really would have meant a lot to Nick, and I do feel like he deserved it. So that's that.
Would you change your mind if it was more of a survival competition?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. If it was actually, if it was something about like, fire making or tent pitching, yeah, I think I would have, and I honestly think that I would have been a much different character if it was more like that. So
well, don't discount Lucy. Lucy could have come for that too, though.
Well, and that's always the thing that I think about too. I'm like, what if I wouldn't have like bought her ice cream that one time? Like, what if I think she was like having some drama with a friend and I was like, what's going on? You seem a little sad. And like just doing like these kind of normal friend things like outside of the context of the game. So it's not like she voted for me because of some like strategic mastermindness. Like it was just because she likes Ben and Jerry's.
I forgot that she was the vote that decided it, right?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I did.
That you forgot that.
Yeah.
No, I forgot that.
Yeah, they sent her to the other room and everything. It was very dramatic.
She thought she won.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When it's
By
tied,
default.
she thought, does that mean that Lucy wins by default?
No, but I think, but just real quick, because I can't ever stop talking about this, but I think, Mallory, that's just credit to your social game. I don't think everything has to be a giant strategic mastermind play. I think that is kind of what won you over at the end when it comes down to it, is the social game and those little interaction things. And like, I don't know, like it's hard, but just when it's like something that's that close, I feel like it is those little social interaction moments. Like I remember whenever we would meet, we'd always talk for a bit about game stuff, about like non-game stuff before we got down into talking about strategy. I feel like that just like definitely just puts you in a better perspective of make people want to fight for you more and vote for you more. But yeah.
Thanks, Jack. Well, and from the very little that I know about Real Survivor, it's much shorter. It is more like survivally based. And I feel like College Survivor is actually really cool because you can't really afford to just look at people as like pawns in a game. Like they do become human to you. Like you go into these people's homes and you like see what they actually like to eat and not just what they can forage on an island. Like you actually get a sense for like who people really are outside of the game. And I think that like inevitably kind of humanizes them to you, which is kind of precious. So
yeah.
Do any of you guys have any like knowing everything that you know now all the years later and like one or two or something you would do differently?
Honestly, the only thing I regret was losing in beer pong, like first round. That was truly devastating. Mallory mentioned the one episode she watched again. That was the one episode I just skipped. When I saw like the loved ones, it's like that that broke me to my core.
Who did you lose to in the first round?
I think it was Nick.
lost to Nick. Yeah, I lost to It was like him and his friend, I forget her name, and
Ballroom.
they they literally were like, got balls back. We like barely shot. I shot like 3 times. They're extremely hot, and I was actually really nervous watching back the top 10 memories because I saw that the loved ones was there. And I was like, God, like, where's this going? And then they like actual tournament, thank God, but that was bad.
I've talked about this before, but if I had a time machine and could go back and change one thing, I would go back to Final 7 Tribal Council, and when Maggie is giving out her gifts to everybody, after that, I would say, and Maggie, I have a gift for you, and pull out an idol and give it to you, and we idol out Sarah. And then I don't think there was any way I would have done that at the time, but just can you imagine how crazy the
Yeah,
rest
I
of the game
could. And I fought for
Yeah.
that all week and you didn't throw a lick of it. Like, yeah, I really could.
I know.
Yeah.
I regret it. Would have been great.
Would have been different. Who knows what would have
Mhm.
happened, but
Mhm.
would have been different.
I would have been screwed.
Yeah.
Actually, my one thing, I wouldn't have dropped on that Final Four challenge if I were to go back. I would
You
just
wouldn't-
win that Final Four challenge.
Why
You wouldn't
did
have gone to
why
your
did you
dog's
drop?
I
birthday
wouldn't have gone
party?
to my dog's birthday party. I dropped because I was actually genuinely scared of how long it would go with me and Nick. And I was kind of in the mindset of as long as Nick doesn't win. And so when we had the deal to both drop, I was like, at least he won't win. But I think I could have outlasted him. He was getting really cold.
Were you not?
Not as cold as him, I think. I have more layers.
That was a cold day. I remember that was another where I was like, this seems torturous. I can't imagine why someone would want to do this for this many hours on end. It was crazy.
Yeah, because it was raining.
It was raining, it was freezing, it was horrible. I was freezing just standing there videoing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah, that was your mistake because had I been there, I would have been gone so quick. There's no way I would have kept my hand on that key.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys have a favorite memory or favorite moment that was not on the show that you like wished had been put in?
I feel like if there was any reason to put any footage that we just took on our own accord of the season 2 after party, that's my best memory that I would have included.
Was
what I
there
was
footage of that?
Well, just like all of us were being ridiculous, and I feel like a lot of videos came out of it.
Survivor beer pong was, or flip cup was.
Flip cup.
Yeah,
That was good.
Yeah.
I forgot that
that's
got
on
like
YouTube somewhere.
edited and put on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I edited
Yeah, I think
that
Brie
for
put it
some
on.
reason.
Yeah.
I think it's on my YouTube channel, maybe. I don't
Oh,
know.
that was you.
It's
It was free.
unlisted or whatever.
Yeah. Should we make that live? Should we
Link
let
in
people watch that now?
I personally vote for it. Then
It
my mom
depends
can
what it
leave with
looks
that.
like. I'll have to look at it and
That's
see. People are-
It's not
It's
up to your
probably
editing
some, like,
standards, I'm sure.
standards,
It's
Ian.
probably some
Yeah.
really hammered people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people might not want that up.
And
I've
we're
gotten
Mhm.
I've
probably
gotten a few
underage.
complaints over the years of like people who have submitted videos in their actual folders of them being drunk and talking about Survivor or something or at parties. And I just kind of figure if it's in the folder, it's like fair game.
Yeah.
But then it was during season 3, some people were like complaining about some footage of them drunk that was in it. They were like, I didn't like agree to have this in, yada yada. And I was like, yo, it was in your folder. But so after that, every time someone was drunk
Yeah.
on screen, I've like texted them and asked them if they're cool with it or something. Because some people
I feel
like
like
drunk.
that is fair game. I don't
That
think
is fair
there's
game.
They uploaded it.
That's a
They
conscious
like
decision.
signed something. I feel like that
Yeah.
had to have been in there somewhere.
Yeah, people do sign things, but I don't. But like, it's like what legal standing does that really have? You know, like what am I gonna do? Come sue
No, I
one of
think
come after
somebody-
one of my friends? I'm like friends with everybody. Come after somebody and be like, yo, you signed this, like I'm putting in this video of you hammered, you know. That'd be
Didn't
such a
somebody's like lawyer parent write it up though? Like I'm pretty sure that happened.
I'm not saying there wouldn't be grounds to do it. I'm saying like from the social game level, like then someone just like Ian's just going around threatening people now with like, you know, none of you guys would ever come on these podcasts if it was just known that I was like threatening people with lawsuits. Was there anybody who really surprised you guys in the edit when you watched it back, that like either in their confessionals or something, or they were just like way different than you expected them to be from playing the game?
Noah.
Oh,
Oh,
AJ.
wait, I have like a memory of Noah that I think is so funny because it's like after, like, well, I was still in and I was at a party at his frat and we were like standing next to each other playing Flip Cup, and we did not know the other one was like who they were, basically. Like we did not register who the other one was. And so it like came up somehow. I have no memory of why, but like Survivor came up and he was like, I did that. And I was like, did you do season 1? And he was like, no, I did season 2. And I was like, and it was like that, you know, that meme with like Spider-Man, like where they're like, that's like literally what it was. It was like surreal.
Do any of you guys, does it still bug any of you guys? I asked the season 1 people this also. Like, do any of you still think about the game? It still bug you, or is everybody totally good? Never bothers you at all? You know, it's all just in the past.
I don't think I regret any of it. I think going as far as I got to go, you know, I was really happy just to be on the jury. And, you know, I mean, well, I don't even know if there was a prize, as cool as it may have been to win. Like, I felt like I may have been in every episode. So like, I felt like I got the full experience of it. And that's really all I was after. So I don't have any regrets.
Yeah, I look back on it pretty fondly. And it's more so like the friendships. Like we all went on a trip when was that, February? A lot of us went on a trip. So I think for me, it was like more about the friendships after that I think back on, and less so like what actually happened in the game.
I think so. Sorry, I was just gonna say I think it was worse for me when we were recording like KYTL episodes weekly and like talking about strategy and stuff. I was more in that headspace. I feel like it took me a while to get over it, and I feel like almost like the opposite of Bailey. I feel like because I got closer in season 2 to the end, I like regretted that more. And like season 4, I was just like, that was just a shit show. And I made the best of it, you know? So like, I feel like I could have more easily won season 2. So I feel like that definitely stood in my mind longer, but I think I'm finally almost at a place where I don't think about it as much anymore.
Actually, speaking of, Jack, you're talking about KYTL. Someone was asking, when did that like come about? Like, were you guys talking about doing that even during season 2, or when did you guys first come up with the idea of doing that?
I remember, I think it was like when season 1 was coming out, or right before season 1 was coming out. We like talked about doing a podcast and like bringing the hosts on. And it was honestly kind of a joke at first. Like the first episode was kind of a joke. Just like, let's like get on the phone and talk about it and record it.
Yeah, because it was like during season 4, while season 4 was filming and season 1 was coming out, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, because we had like, I interviewed Matthew for like his boot episode or something, while like the same time I was going over to his house to like just talk strategy. So yeah, I don't remember how it like started really. I think it was just kind of like a joke, but I feel like we were just like so amped on Survivor at that point, and like, you know, we were obviously just like us 3 super tight. So we're just like, we should do this. Like, why not? We're crazy about Survivor, so let's just talk about it for hours each week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super glad that we did that.
Would any of the rest,
hopefully keep doing it. Yeah.
would any of the rest of you guys, like Mike, Sarah, Jack, Mallory, anybody, consider applying to the Real Survivor, or ever thought about it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little scared of the wild part, like living in the
Thank you.
wild. So
Yes.
I'd have to get over that fear first.
Yeah, what
'Cause
attracts Mallory to the game is what scares me about it.
Yeah.
I feel
Like,
like the only, I don't even know if it counts as reality TV, but the only TV show I would want to be on is Jeopardy. So I'm not sure that counts. Does that count as reality TV? I'm not sure.
It's more like a game show,
Game
but
show.
yeah, it counts.
Game show, you're right.
Survivor's kind of a game show.
I would definitely do it to
Okay.
like challenge myself though. I just feel like I would get medevac at some point from like fainting.
I feel like they have
But-
pretty physically unfit people on it. Like, so it can't be that bad.
No, but it just seems so bad. Like the hunger part. I would still do it though.
I was thinking maybe because I have thought about applying, but I don't know if I ever will for that same reason there. But I figured maybe I'd come in fat. Like I'd eat ahead of time to hope to like finish like my normal weight.
Yeah,
It's a good
honestly.
strat.
You do like
Yeah.
supersize me like the month before.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like alone.
yeah, supersize it.
Maybe I'll be the
ahead.
tribe doctor. That would be fun.
Ooh.
They'd get all
That'd be sick.
Dr. Mallory.
Mhm.
yeah, seriously. Especially if I do infectious disease, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be sick. I mean, you get to live on like an island and stuff. It'd be cool.
Mhm.
Looks like they
And-
only do them at Fiji now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like always at Fiji.
Well, and I'm guessing that Jeff isn't living in a tent, so
Yeah.
be up somewhere nice.
No.
So rich. He's gotta be so rich.
Yeah, Jeff has like a penthouse suite, probably.
What do you think his net worth is? I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, definitely like millions.
Mm-hmm.
I saw
I
heard
bet
that
it's.
like
I'm gonna say like. I want 50 million.
that's a
Maybe
lot.
that might be too
That's it.
low.
Big
That's the
number.
That might be
exact
too
number
low.
I'm
Wait,
thinking.
you're right. It's
Wow.
50 million.
With an
Oh,
$8 million salary.
Yeah.
let's go.
Jesus Christ, 8 million a year coming in.
Oh my
Jeez.
gosh, double
Does he have
that.
more than that then? If he's bringing in 8 million a year, he must be spending like a motherfucker.
So Ian, you got his net worth right. Can you guess his age?
Oh.
I know that he's like a lot older than he seems. I'm gonna say he's 62.
Oh,
Close. 60.
Damn.
Wow.
really good guesses though.
I know.
Right.
Yeah,
Ian.
impressive.
Miss Mc-
Yeah,
Maybe Ian should go on The Price is Right. That would be a good one.
the Probst is
Just
right.
all
This is
Jeff
right.
Probst questions.
It's
That's
all just
good.
Jeff Probst questions.
Mhm.
If any of you guys like know anything about Survivor All Stars that Bailey is on, do you have any idea? Does any of you guys know what went down with it or no?
I forgot. I think I knew at the time, but I
No.
forgot.
I feel like Mike and Mallory, you probably haven't heard much, have you?
No. Someone fill me in. I feel like I don't
No, I'm curious I'm curious if you have any predictions. If I tell you
Yeah.
if I tell you who from season 2 was on, could you give any like your predictions?
I
Yeah.
think I know. I think I can't make a prediction because I think I know.
I can't. I know the final
Okay,
three.
then don't make any predictions
Yeah.
if you know.
I don't know anything. Let me make predictions.
Yeah, Mike can make
who
predictions.
was in from season 2?
It was
So it's AJ, Noah.
yeah, it was AJ, Noah,
um,
Cheaty, and no. It was Bailey, Sam, Kevin,
Lucy.
Lucy,
Free.
Nick, and Bree.
Yeah.
I think Nick makes it, or not Nick, Kevin makes it farther this time.
Okay.
Not that he got super far the first time.
Low bar.
But he exceeds it. That's actually a lot of season 2 though.
Yeah,
That
there was
is.
a sizable contingent.
I would have to guess that I gotta think the odds are stacked against Nick being a returning final 3 person. So I would think he probably doesn't get back to the final 3. Bailey, I'll go with you as my dark horse. I think Bailey goes far. That's my prediction. Also Sam's in there. Shit. I feel like Sam's too much of a threat. I feel like they probably sniffed him out early.
What
Who
about
also
Bree
might
and
be-
Lucy?
Bree and Lucy were the other ones.
I think Bree was a better player than she let on. I could definitely see her making more of a run if she got maybe a better crew or a crew that she I don't know, like got the right kind of draw with. Lucy, I don't know.
Wild card.
She's just always the wild card. So she could have been first out. She could have been like, I don't know. I don't think she got back to the final three.
You know, also Cooper played. So how do you think Cooper did? He was the host so he was the host for seasons 2, 3, and 4, and then he played on All Stars. So
that's something Jeff
Screen
Probst
hog.
did do. I think Cooper probably. I feel like Cooper is a good player, but I don't know. I also feel like people know Cooper. If you know the person, you know the kind of game they're gonna play. I feel like you got to try and get them out. So that's why I have you as my dark horse. Like no one got to see like the Bailey show.
Yeah, Bailey had so much potential, like really, our season. She could have gone far.
Yeah, that's literally why we had to get rid of you.
Yeah.
It was.
Absolutely.
what else? And you guys got any other really pressing season 2, you know, something deep dark you got to get off your chest, or fond memories, or any funny stories that we did not get a chance to share?
Yeah. I wanted to bring up how Jack and Sarah and Sam all encouraged me to be an asshole to Lucy at Final Tribal.
Did we?
Yeah.
I actually don't remember this.
Yeah, you did.
Huh.
I don't remember this either. What did we do?
Yeah,
I'm
what did we
sorry.
say?
You guys were like, it was like in this moment where it was like, it's gonna be the Let's Make Fun of Maggie show. And like, because the cupcake thing that apparently didn't mean anything to anyone except for me had just happened. And then you guys were like, oh, like we're gonna wear these cupcakes and like we're gonna dress up in suits and pretend like this is still a thing. And I just remember being like, oh, you guys, like, what if I say this to Lucy? And you're like, and I was like, it's so mean, I shouldn't do it. And you guys were like, no, you have to.
Wait, what'd you say again?
I just was like really rude to her.
Damn, I'm sorry. Literally don't remember that, but we should not have done that.
And I like
Yeah.
looking back, I was like, oh my God, like this is just part of like the like, see, we were a three-way, three squad. You weren't a part of it. Let's make a fool of her.
I did not mean it like that.
Yeah,
I think I was just really, I feel like in that moment I feel like we were all hyped up on us four, because I think we were all kind of humiliated at that point. So I thought, I don't know, at least from my perspective, I didn't think of it as a 3 versus 1 thing at that point. Like I thought that's why we were the cupcakes and stuff, because we were like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think we all just were super hyped up emotionally, and just probably shouldn't have encouraged you, but I definitely didn't mean it as a let's fuck with Maggie sort of thing. Sorry.
No, this is good. This is the real tea.
Yeah.
Who else has got
Mhm.
some? What else can we get? Some beef, some deep-seated beef.
I feel like I don't remember like anything.
And that's also bullshit, because if we were buddies, why was I never a part of KYTL?
Damn.
Yeah, that is true. That is
I never
true.
got invited or considered or anything.
Yeah.
Sarah said, yeah,
Privilege.
you're right.
No, it's true. I don't know why. I feel like our bigwigs chat just like was more active than the cupcake one after for some reason, and I don't know why.
I do.
I have beef with you, Ian. I like begged and pleaded for the social winners of Survivor to be cut out of season 2. I like tried every which way to make sure that footage never saw the light of day.
Is that true?
Yes, I texted like
It's in the folders. You know
it
the
was
rules.
so
Who you
But,
never
like,
texted
here's
me? You
my
never.
issue
Yeah, if it's
with
in
it is like by the time we were doing like All Stars and like everything, it was clear that if the camera was on, like that's fair game. Like we were all kind of like, me and Kevin were kind of like out with like Cooper and Katie and like kind of getting to know them, and like
It was a house
they were
party
like
at
hyping
my
us
house.
up, and it was like we were drunk and we like thought it was funny, but like I did not think this was gonna be on the show. I tried so hard to get it not on the show, and
Did
like
you
I
ask-
really
did
am
you
truly
text me
torn
about it?
between that and like the bike tire challenge being the thing that haunts me most, like in my dreams.
Did
like
you text me and like tell me to not put it in? Because I feel like if you had, I wouldn't have.
I texted someone for sure. I don't remember if it was you directly because I don't know. Like somebody dropped the ball here because I was told it was going to be cut out.
Who told you that?
I don't remember. I know I texted somebody
Where's that
though,
final cut?
like a lot. Like it was like multiple times, like explaining like why I didn't want it in there.
I'm so glad it wasn't cut.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's funny
That's like one of
because
my favorite
that
parts of the
video,
whole season.
that video is also, I remember very distinctly, like it's called in, you can probably look this up in the folder or whatever. The video was literally, whoever uploaded it, it was literally named Bailey and Kevin Must Include is what the video was titled. So I'm sure the whole time I was just like, oh yeah, this is going in 1000%.
So
Honestly,
funny.
I'll look it up right now and find out who uploaded it. I'll be able to.
It's gotta be Katie.
Oh, it was
My bets
probably
are on Katie.
Like it had to be
Katie.
Katie.
If it was
Probably
you,
Katie.
Bailey, how rattled are you gonna be?
Well, I didn't take the video. There's no way.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Watch it be
Clear.
Ian.
No. What episode was this? This was episode 5.
I don't know. You know more than we do.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Oh yeah, Katie uploaded it.
Easy.
Must
I would have
include.
bet so much money on it being Katie.
Yeah, there's also another one called Kevin trashing Maggie, and I don't think that one got put in. So maybe we'll release that one as that one also. looks
Yeah,
like a
please
run, so
release it.
That's funny.
maybe we'll release that as some bonus scenes.
That was one of my
That's tough.
favorite
I'm sorry,
moments.
Bailey, because in season 3 people started complaining, and then I stopped including stuff.
Oh, it's fine. I was surprised to see it, but
It was the name of the episode too.
yeah. Well, somebody was like, "Oh, maybe we can just kind of make it just Kevin." Was kind of what I told. Like, I kind of knew it was going to be in there, but like,
How would
I
they make
kinda
it
thought it was
just
gonna be
Kevin? You're
mostly
both
Kevin.
like front and center in the video.
no, this is
It's
what I was
winners,
told,
plural,
okay?
not winner.
That's tough. I'm pretty sure they put that in like the top 10 moments too. Like that video
Oh,
is
yeah.
everywhere.
What can you do? This is my legacy.
That's
funny.
tough. Well, I think that's
No.
also probably going in an All-Stars.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh.
Can we get this in All Star?
No, it already is. Like it already is in like some flashbacks, I'm pretty sure. So
Oh, great.
you'll see it again.
Bailey, I can share your Katie Reed beef because I don't actually have beef against her, but at the end of the season when they were like, "All right, we're gonna give you $100," I was like, "I really don't want your money. Like, we're
Yeah.
all college students here. Please keep it. The only thing, if you're gonna offer me something, the only thing that I want is the necklace, the tribal necklace." And Katie wanted to keep it. Which again, I don't actually have beef, but for the sake of camaraderie, I will have beef with her for you.
Oh, Katie.
You get a prize, Mallory? Like, what was is it anything?
No, because the prize was going to be money, but I refused to accept it because again, we're all broke anyway. So the prize was going to be the necklace in my mind, but then
But then you didn't get
no.
So why
Wow.
didn't she use that $100
Right.
and buy herself like 5 necklaces
This is so funny
and
because
still have
there's a picture of
$60?
the entire crew from season 2 at the after party in Cooper's apartment, and Katie's wearing the necklace. Like I remember this picture very distinctly.
Mhm.
Oh,
But this
that's
must have been after she got away with the crime, you know?
Yeah.
Did,
Then
did
she
anyone
flouted
else
it.
take nudes in that necklace?
You?
Oh,
No.
When did you
No,
have
I didn't.
I only had it once.
When?
I took nudes in the necklace as soon as I got home. Because I knew that would be fucking hilarious.
Oh wait, when you had it during
Yeah.
the season. I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about like also after, and I was like, what, like
Hey,
when would that have happened?
At the after party, like I need to borrow this in the
No,
bathroom.
it would just be funny.
you
It
go in the
it was funny to
bathroom and just,
think
like-
like that Mallory would end up with that.
Okay, I was about to say, in hindsight, my beef with Katie is completely gone. I'm glad she got to keep it.
Well, now I'm
That's
yeah. Now you dodged a bullet. You didn't
necklace
know
could talk. Jeez.
The
Yeah.
necklace is seen
the
some-
immunity necklace forever unclean.
Yeah, I wore it the whole weekend too when I went out.
I actually remember that. I remember.
I did
Yeah, I
too.
saw you.
We went to Metal Frat. We went to
Mhm.
Metal Frat
Mhm.
that week you had it.
I wore it
guess
to
I'll
like
make it
ski.
Karaoke, the
This is
classic
good.
karaoke
This is some
scene.
really juicy goss. Season 1 didn't have anything on this level. This is good.
Season 2 is the best season, and this is why. I'll say it a
Mhm.
million times. I'll say it to anyone's face. Season 2 was the best season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll get in the
And-
Discord. I'll argue with anybody about this.
What is like the consensus in the Discord?
The season 2 actually is kind of has like I'd call season 2 like the cult classic. Like
Mhm.
the consensus is generally that like season 1 was like the most strategic or had like the best strategy, and that season 3 was good but a bit dark or a bit serious, and that season 4 was like the worst one, I
Season
guess.
4 happened, yeah.
And then the Discord though, the Discord people love season 2 for like the characters mostly. Like Lucy is like the like winner pick. Like so many people are picking Lucy to win All Stars in the Discord. And like there's a
Oh,
I
lot of
love it.
The
like
wild card.
they love Mallory and they love like Maggie and like Bailey and Kevin, like Sarah, and just like because Sam and Sarah and Jack did the podcast also, like they feel like they have their own little mini fandom, and there's a whole season. The season 2 stands. It's like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but for Survivor.
Bailey,
would say-
everyone-
The cold classic.
The cult classic, yeah.
go ahead, Bailey.
Oh,
I was
well,
gonna-
I was gonna say I actually take somewhat of a beef with our own fans that I'm gonna bring up right now. I'm doing this now. And my beef is that I'm really shocked that people did not like season 3 more. Like I thought it was gonna like totally be the favorite by a landslide. Like I was really shocked.
I don't know.
I think I thought that too.
I don't.
Just
Mhm.
like I couldn't believe it that it wasn't, because I remember when we were producing it, it was
Mhm.
like every day I was like, I'm looking in all the producer chats, like I am eating this shit up. Like I thought it was like the best drama. I loved it.
No, same, because like every week the power dynamic was like flipped.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Season
I thought
three.
it was crazy. That was part of it too, not even just the
Mhm.
drama itself. But I
Yeah.
was like, the way people are like willing to like be cutthroat makes it interesting from a strategic standpoint. So I was really surprised people weren't into it.
I think season 3 is the best one. I agree with you. I think the weird thing is I think that sometimes though also it's hard to tell because the people that are the loudest is like ultimately a vocal minority of the total people, you know? Because season 3 did the pre-merge did by far the best in terms of views of any of the 4 pre-merges. So that would, I don't know if that was just because that cast maybe like advertised it more, or I don't know exactly what would have caused that, but definitely there was more of an excitement around it than the other seasons when it came out, at least. I don't know. I think they're all good though. They all have they're
Yeah.
all special in their own ways. It's like choosing your favorite child, you know?
Yeah.
And
A little shout out.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sarah.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna ask, do you know which episode of all the survivors has the most views?
It's season 1, episode 1.
Ah,
But I think
What
it's
is it
just
at?
because it's the first one.
All downhill from there.
It's at like 18,000 or something, and
Wow.
nothing else is the second most viewed is season.
18,000?
Yeah, the second most viewed is season 2, episode 1, which is like
It's 10,000.
10,000. Season 4, it was if you similar to season 2, like if you like goofy characters, season 4
Yeah.
was really, really good because there was
It-
some really crazy characters on it for sure.
Pre-merge of season 4, I think, is pretty great.
I think season 4 is also good. It's a little it gets too much hate. There was some really
Yeah.
good stuff in that one too. They were all good. I think some people watch Survivor and they don't like the darker aspects of what season
Mhm.
3 gets into, where everyone like hates each other. But I mean, I think that's hilarious. Like I thought that was really good TV, you know?
Yeah. I think season 3 had a lot of people that were not willing to separate the game from reality. And I think that a lot of people, like, I think that's comes up so much like in Survivor Michigan, is there are some people that are very willing to like separate the two. And there are some people that are not. And season 3 had a lot of that. And I think that's like a reality people just don't really like, is that like, it is a game, but at the end of the day, like it's based on like all of our real people and real personalities and relationships, which you can't separate.
I have one more fun fact that people might not know is that Abby lived with Bailey. Then I lived with Abby. Then Sam lived with Abby. So Abby has lived with like so many Survivor people.
That's so funny. Where does she live now?
She lives with
Ann
me.
Arbor.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, she lives with Mike now. You didn't know that?
But actually,
That's so
now
funny.
George, when George was on this podcast, he did it from the bedroom that she lived like in the house because he lives in the house that she lived.
Whoa.
So George, this
George
is a
lives in
fun
Abby's old
connection.
apartment.
That's so weird.
George is subletting the apartment that Abby and I lived in, that then Sam lived in. Now George is subletting it. So like that house has
so
seen
random.
so much Survivor. It's like disgusting.
Yeah, that's wild. That house and the immunity necklace. They've seen too much.
I've seen too
No.
much.
Yeah, also, I had Venmo on my thing before. If you could just put my OnlyFans now, that would be great.
Do you have an OnlyFans? Like, how much money have you gotten, you think, from that Venmo? over the
Oh
years?
God, like what? Like, I don't know, $10, $6.
Oh, really?
Not
Maybe
bad.
like
Not bad.
not a lot, but like randomly I will get like $1 here or there, but like no. I mean, I think the most I got was like 5.
What do they
So
write? Are they just like
like
survive?
loved you on your season. Sometimes I send it back. I'm just like, this
Aw.
is like, I don't know.
You,
It-
why
Use
did
it
you
to
put it
buy a
up
new
if you just
necklace.
send it back?
Because I was like in like frat boy mode.
Involved in
I don't
that.
know.
Ian,
I
does
was
our
like-
season still? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Does our season like still get views like today? Like what's like
Oh, yeah.
the view level these
yeah.
days?
The first episode gets around like 2,000 views a year, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
A year.
No, yeah. It still does pretty well. It's
Okay.
still you still get every now and then people comment on it and we'll be like, oh, watching for the first time, yada yada. We get some complaints about spoilers in the thumbnails. Not something I thought about at the time. So I became more cognizant of that with the later seasons. There were people being like, yo, like, I know that like Sarah or Mike goes really far because I saw like
Yeah.
YouTube recommended gave me like episode 10 and I'm only on
Wait, why
episode
don't you
3.
just change it to like the logo
I don't want to.
for all of them?
I don't want to change it. It's like I'm like attached to how it looked when I put it
Okay.
up there. It's like it'd be weird to change it. It feels like.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for future seasons, like for season 3 and 4, I was more cognizant of it, and for
Mhm.
All Stars, I'll probably be even more cognizant of it, of not putting spoilers in like the thumbnails.
I think All Stars is gonna blow up.
I hope so.
It's probably
I
gonna get a
hope
lot of views.
I hope so.
I can't
Mallory,
Dawn
I heard
do that for nothing.
Mallory's gonna watch. It's gonna be her first Survivor.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Yes, definitely.
Yo, thank you guys for coming. This has been the Survivor Michigan Season 2 Leaders and Best Reunion. You can check out, Season 2 and relive it in all of its glory on YouTube right now. I know that's what Mike is going to do right after this.
1,000 views. Episode 1.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And stay tuned for more stuff. The Season 3 reunion is next. And then we'll just keep on along the train to All Stars.
Hello, what's up, dude?
Hello. Not too much.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Second time in a month I get to talk to you, so that's fun.
Um,
Well, joining, is it just Brittany?
just Brittany, yeah, because Sarah bailed, which was tough.
That is so rough.
Bailed.
So brutal. Sarah always bails. Yeah, because I thought for a second, I thought we could get everybody, like the whole, because if Brittany, Sarah, and Mitcha come on, that's basically the entire production team, right? For this
That is
season.
the entire production team. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been kind of fun. Yeah, I mean, basically we're just gonna go through, talk about like how season 2 got started, why you guys decided to do it, how we chose Cooper as the host, all that sort of stuff. I've pulled up like the casting docs. If you guys want to pull those up too, you still have access to them. So there's some fun stuff in that. Hi, Brittany.
Hi guys, sorry. I completely forgot that I'm working in the morning. And so now I'm like scrambling because I haven't worked in a month. But all good, I'm here. I'll stay as long as I can. Well, Katie, I haven't seen you in forever. Oh my gosh.
I know. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. We had so much fun last time. I was with Akshay, Cooper, Ian, like whole gang. Except Sarah was supposed to be here.
Yeah, she bailed.
Yeah.
That's
Partly
annoying.
why I came. I mean, for all of you too. Yeah.
Yeah, we should bully her into it.
Yeah, just tell her she missed the most fun time over Zoom.
Photoshopped right after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for the season 3 one when all you guys come back again. No, I'm joking. But
I honestly was thinking, I like don't remember too much from all this time. So I'm like, why did I say I would come? But then I'm like, it was fun last time. We'll just be here in the background.
Yeah, honestly, same. But I figured whatever y'all remember, it'll help like refresh my memory a little bit, and maybe some random facts will pop up. Who knows?
All right. Well, all right. So let's get going. Welcome back, the crew of Survivor Michigan Season 2 Leaders and Best. This is almost the entire squad. The only 2 people who were on the crew for that season who are not here are Mitch and Sarah, who could not make it. But they send their warm regards. And, how does it feel, guys? Back together, the crew that kept it going, that made it into, an ongoing saga beyond season 1.
Good. It's a nice
Pretty
little
good.
throwback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice to see faces that we don't see in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I can start. I'm Cooper. I hosted season 2, played on season 1. Yeah, that I feel like if you've watched season 2, you probably know who I am. So I'll leave it at that.
I think I would be the only one who really would need an introduction, but Katie, I did not play or was involved in season 1 at all, but I was close enough with Leia and Cooper. When Cooper said he was going to continue it, I was like, I would love to be involved. I love production and all of that stuff, and then got to meet everybody and have since continued with the crew.
So yeah, hopefully most people who are watching this have seen season 1. So I was on season 1 and season 4. But if you're only a season 2 super fan, then I was behind the scenes, maybe in a shot or 2 of season 2. But yeah, from season 1 and season 4. So
I'm Akshay. I was also on season 1 and producer on season 2 when they were just like, yo, we're gonna keep it going. Does anyone want to join? I was like, hell yeah, I do. I was super excited for it. And now there's like 8 more seasons that have us to be mad at for keeping this club going.
We really have caused so much emotional trauma.
Yeah.
This crew.
the blood on our hands. Yeah.
Certainly.
I'm Brittany. I was on season 1, and just a couple weeks after doing that, I then went and helped produce season 2.
And I'm Ian, and I edited season 2, and of seasons 2, 3, and 4, this was the only one that I was an active producer for, in the sense that I was around and there and at tribals and challenges and stuff and actually knew what was going on. After that, I sort of dropped off and did not pay much attention at all to seasons 3 or 4. But season 2, I was there for all the shenanigans and all the action. So let's get into it. So when did you guys first decide there was going to be a season 2? Like, when were the earliest conversations anyone can remember about that happening?
I almost feel like the earliest conversation, like just it being thrown out, was shortly after I got voted out. Because at that point, me, Akshay, and Matthew were all already out. And I feel like the 3 of us probably had the first conversation.
Yeah.
About keeping it going.
All I remember is texting like George and Claire, like shortly after I got voted out, or like close to when Cooper was voted out. I was like, hey, like, is this thing going to go on for season 2? And they're like, hey, you should talk to like Cooper and Sarah and Akshay. They've like mentioned doing this. So they sort of like, we'd all sort of mentioned to them like, hey, let's do it again. And then they sort of like, connected us like, hey, these are the people interested in doing again. So that's sort of how we, I mean, we all knew each other, but we knew we wanted to go forward with season 2 talks. So
yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. I think like the moment I got voted out, I like asked George, he like came over after my vote out confessional. And I was like, so what's the plan for season 2? Like, are you doing it? Am I doing it? Can I help? Like, it was just sort of, and he was just like, okay, I'll connect you with like Matthew and Sarah. I know they've already texted me about it. And then when Cooper came out next week, I think he probably had a similar situation. And then it was just like, as we got to the end of the season, it was like, okay, everyone who's interested in continuing it, like join. And then Cooper brought in Katie and Ian.
Yeah.
So
it was a fast turnaround too, because like we really only had like George and Claire had like they knew they were going to do this months before, like they had the whole summer and even before that to like plan the whole season. We had like 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half of like winter break, and we were like, all right, we need to continue this whole club and plan all of season 2 over winter break. Go.
I remember specifically having a meeting with Matthew and Cooper in Cooper's apartment, his sophomore year apartment. I think that was like my first official, like, hey, we think we have a group. Let's sit down and solidify as much as we can in person before we all go home for the holidays. And then we can figure it out afterwards.
We did a lot in a couple weeks. We got a lot accomplished.
Yeah.
It's been speculated / outright stated that part of the reason why the club kept going was because all of you guys wanted to play another time. And obviously now we have Matthew, you played again, Cooper and Akshay obviously eventually played again. How much of a motivation was that in continuing it? Was that if it continued, that meant that you could have another chance?
I'm going to say it was a large factor. I think we did all want to just continue the club because we thought it was just like a cool way to meet people. And I think we had like enjoyed a lot of the people that were in season 1 and just wanted to keep hanging out with them. And this was an easy way to do it. But I think we all also wanted to play again and felt like we wanted our chance to win again. So it was a large factor.
Weirdly enough for me, which is, I feel like people are going to be surprised about this because I'm a crazy super fan and I did want to play again sort of, but I think just because Maryland was our inspiration sort of, and I knew at that point Maryland had at least released 4 seasons. And I had seen, like, if you watch like season 3 and 4, you can sort of see like season 2 and 3 people make cameos, like helping produce. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to be able to do that. So I don't even think I thought that, oh yeah, season 5 is going to be all stars just like Maryland and then I'll play. It was just, I want the production experience. And then probably right when we started talking about season 2, and then we had the like very casual preliminary, not even real talks about like what the next seasons are going to look like. And we kind of thought like, oh, season 5 is going to be all stars. That's when I was like, oh, I'm playing that, like for sure. Like I need to make sure it gets to season 5 so I can play in all stars.
Yeah, I feel like it was a completely different experience for me and Mitch because we had just played 100 days. December break that year at U of M was like particularly short. Like I remember it was my first ever time. It was like under a 2-week break. And I just remember we did 100 days. It was an experience, but it was going to be my second semester senior year. Like I love Survivor. How can I not do production for it? So it was never a thought in my head about playing again. It was more so like I had to continue it on, but I don't remember being part of discussion while I was in the game. Was I? I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
My main memory was December break. I was on a cruise ship in a cruise cabin doing like the scavenger hunt and planning it on my computer, like from the cruise cabin. So, I mean, we not only came up with that in 2 weeks, but we were like planning far ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cooper, do you remember when you like brought me on board or how that went down?
I feel like I might have mentioned it to you relatively around the time we were like starting it and just being like, hey, would you be interested in like editing this? Because I knew George wasn't going to. He was like full out, like he was like done and he was then busy editing season 1. So I feel like I asked you early on enough, and I don't remember like what your response at that point was or whether you like really came on board later. But yeah, I figured even if you didn't get on board, we would just figure it out later and we needed to just produce the season and like figure it out. But
yeah, I don't remember exactly when you asked me. It was definitely before winter break though, because I remember that you asked me about it. I knew you guys have been playing it. I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know anything about Survivor. And then I think you sent me the link to whatever the most recent Maryland season was. And I binged watched that over winter break. And was like, I basically saw how many views it had. And I was like, this seems like it would be good for my career. So I will do this. And it turned out to be true. So it was a good call. But I had never seen any Survivor and didn't know really at all what I was getting into. If you had told me you're going to be doing this for the next like 5 years, I'm sure I would have been like, fuck off. Like, I'm not doing this. I don't know what this is, but I don't want to be a part of it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I remember Cooper saying that Ian, or maybe Ian yourself, you said it, that you hadn't seen any Survivor. And I was like, oh gosh, like, what are we getting ourselves into? Like, yeah, we had more than 2 people this semester, but we were just running around with our phones. Like, we weren't, like, we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
My thought process was like, film now, figure it out later. Like,
Yeah.
We knew we had a few years,
yeah.
How did you guys decide that Cooper was going to be the host? Like, was there a fight for it? Did everybody want to be the host?
Okay, so I remember so vividly, I don't know why, but it was Matthew, Cooper, Sarah, and I sitting in the basement of the Union.
Hold on.
Were you there too, Akshay?
I was fully there.
Okay, I apologize. I don't whatever angle I was sitting at in my memory, I had Matthew and Cooper.
It was probably the first day we met or something.
It honestly probably.
This
it
is
was my
how we
first
met.
time meeting the majority of the people.
Yeah.
But I remember we got kind of silent because we were talking about a bunch of different logistics. And once the host thing came up, we were all like, all right, so who wants to be host? And everyone just kind of sat there, looked around for a little bit. Matthew was like, I'd be interested. And then Cooper jumped in, I'd be interested too. And I think it came down to, you guys can correct me if I'm completely wrong on this, Matthew having less time at Michigan. Cooper had more time to host more seasons. And that was basically the deciding factor. And that was end of conversation.
Yeah. It was a little bit sorry.
No,
yeah, it was a little bit also I think Matthew had a part-time job or something. And so it was just he would also have less time that semester. So, and Cooper was just I got time, we're good. I can be because the host has to be at every single Survivor thing pretty much. So I think it was literally that simple. It wasn't as complicated as it is in today's Survivor Michigan hosting.
There was no application. There was no panel. Yeah. I remember a factor for me too was Cooper was when he mentioned Ian, he's like, oh yeah, I have a friend who can edit. I was like, well, that's a big thing to bring to the table. So I was like, I kind of want to do it, but if you're going to bring that to the table, that's a big thing. If you want to host, yeah, go ahead and host. Yeah.
Wow. The truth comes out. I was actually just being used as a bargaining chip in Cooper's.
I don't know if he did that on purpose, but that was a
power grab.
Cooper played Survivor to be Survivor host.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
I think this choice was very indicative of how we ran the season 2. It wasn't, we never really fought over very much. It was kind of just discussed. The best plan was laid out and everyone was like, sounds good. Let's run with it. This makes the most sense. We're I know it gets very complicated in the recent.
It turned out great, right? Simple.
I think it was just a case of we all really wanted the season to succeed. So we were all just trying to find compromises as much as we possibly can. And there were only 8 of us. Then none of us had done this before. 6 of us had played. Ian had literally never watched. Katie, I don't know if you had watched, but you weren't. Yeah, you had, but you weren't that involved in season 1. So it was just none of us have any clue what's going on. So there was no ego at that point, I feel like.
Yeah. There's also the timeline. Yeah.
Season 2 production, the good old days. Before everything got
time to
crazy.
Fight. There was no time to bicker. It was we need to get
it done
now. Yeah. Let's go.
I don't know if any of you guys remember this. My recollection is that Sarah always had the car and that was always moving all the stuff around, and that she was always picking us up from various places and driving us with buckets filled of bricks or whatever kind of crazy shit we had.
I just remember I had to store some stuff and eventually it built up in my living room, just a bunch of stuff. But yeah, so I think Sarah had the torches, or she had some torches. Yeah.
I remember I got in a new car and we put all the torches in it, and I was driving these torches around Ann Arbor and they're just shedding everywhere.
Yeah, I remember there was multiple times where we were scared that we were going to be confused for white supremacists because we were holding torches and just walking.
Yeah, I was scared of that a lot of the time.
Right into the Union. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was also the introduction of us lighting torches inside of school buildings, which is something that I've got asked about that a lot. When my parents saw the show for the first time, they were like, they let you guys do that? I was like, let. Oh, you think we asked permission? Wow. Bold of you to assume that.
You think they knew what was happening? No, because we also used everyone's respective clubs that people were senior leaders in to, I don't know if this is exposing us, we can edit this out if this might incriminate us, but we use those clubs to then reserve rooms in the Union or in other buildings. So we always we use plenty of our resources.
Yeah, basically at Michigan, you have to, if you're an authorized signer, which basically means that you're somebody of some sort of legitimacy in in a club, you can sign out buildings. You can sign out like, meeting spots and stuff. So a lot of the tribals, especially in the union that season, were being signed out by like me or Sarah or somebody for clubs that had nothing to do with Survivor.
I just remember there was a few times where like sometimes those torches were just not cooperating, they wouldn't light, but other times like they would just like fully, there was a bonfire on this one torch and we were terrified the fire alarms would go off. Like that was our worry for like every single drive.
It was because there was like lighter fluid in some of them and it would definitely spill in the back of the car and get all over some of the torches. I'd take them out and my hands would be all sticky. Yeah.
The also ones have it way easier than us because George and Claire got away with doing everything outside and then they made us freeze. Those November, December, I mean, the Final Four challenge, my toes are still recovering from that, but they got away with doing pretty much the entire season outside.
The Final Four challenge was miserable for season 2. It was so miserable. Yeah. So let's talk a bit about how the season got started. When did the leaders and best theme idea, where did that come from? Sarah wanted me to make sure that we said that she came up with the name. So Sarah coined leaders and best, but does anybody else remember what else went into that? The leaders as like an idea and how that was going to all work?
I know the title itself, we wanted to do something from like the Victors, like George had taken like sort of Victor's Valiant. So we wanted to like take something else basically from like Hail to the Victors. So it ended up being leaders and best. And then we like worked that into the theme basically. I don't know exactly if anyone else has a recollection of like how we went about that, but like, I know that's definitely where it came from.
I mean, our like tribe captains, tribe leaders twist was because we decided on the name leaders and best. And yeah, I think, again, very similar to the host conversation. It was just kind of like Sarah suggested, what about leaders and best? I can make the logo. And we were all like, cool, sounds good. And we kept it pretty simple, again, because of the quick turnaround. I don't think we tried to change much. If you look at like the other logos for other seasons, there's a lot more theme related stuff to it. But this was pretty much, I don't want to say copy and paste, but we did what we could in the short amount of time we had.
Yeah, I forget if we had like planned out. We had planned out all of the season, most if not all of the season ahead of time. That's what we normally do. But I feel like it also might have been like we were trying to figure out how to do the swap, and we knew we wanted to do like captains, but weren't sure like how we wanted to do that. I don't know. I could be completely making this up.
I think that kind of lines up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember still talking about it when the game had started.
Yeah.
Which isn't exactly how Survivor. Yeah, it didn't impact the game, so it's all good.
Yeah. But I feel like it had a little bit to do with that, at least, that we were just like, how do we want to like choose captains at a swap? And we were just like, we'll just make them have a leader early on and make them do a couple things. So
I think those couple things we kind of figured out as it went along, but we sort of had the general premise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at some of the old casting documents, which you guys can find in our old Google Drive if you want to also look. I saw some funny tidbits that I didn't know. So like everyone knows, I think that Nick applied for season 1, right? And was not cast. But I didn't know that people from season 3 had applied to season 2, including Will, Devin, Emily, Levy, and Richard. So I guess, do you guys remember not casting any of those people and why potentially they didn't make it for this season?
Did any of them get interviews?
I came at the right time. I remember.
It looks like Devin was an alternate. It looks like for season 2. So he almost got on.
I remember Devin's interview quite clearly because he was one of the few Indian people to apply straight up. That's why I remember. But I remember because like I think we did all the interviews in like the basement of the union also. So we were at like this table. It was just me and one other person because it was like we were doing them during the day, like right after second semester started. And it was just not, this is going to be absolutely horrible. It was just not super engaging. It felt like he was very nervous and it came across, unfortunately. And that sucks. Like everyone has interview nerves. And especially because it was season 2, we really wanted big characters because we just wanted this to go as far as it possibly could. And that's why you have some of the greatest characters we've ever had in, the 4 seasons that have been shown so far. And because it just wasn't a massive character, like you could tell he was a super fan and he really wanted it. but it just was like he was very quiet, very nervous, and it just didn't come off great. But he got his chance and he did great with it the next season. And I know a bunch of us, I remember like during season 3, we're happy he got cast because we knew he'd applied and gotten an interview previously.
Yeah, I want to say we were trying to like mix up the types of people we were casting. So I feel like we had kind of Will and Devin both in the same boat of like more like strategic people who would be more potentially like game bots ish. I feel like Will doesn't fall into that category now at all. Like that's not where I would put him, but I want to say like that's where we probably like had them at the time, and we were like, we have enough of those. We would prefer just like characters who are going to be like funny, like TV personality type people. And then, like you said, a lot of them just got their chance next season when they applied. So we recognized names when we knew we had seen them before. So the people who kept applying were, yeah.
I also noticed that Brittany's brother applied and apparently was cast. So what happened with that? How come we were robbed of seeing Brittany's brother storm?
He was the very first person to apply.
The link came out and I was like, okay, like someone I know has to do this. My friends all refused. They put up with me all semester. They still didn't understand what Survivor was. And I'm like, okay, my brother, like he's 3 years younger. He's a freshman, like perfect. He'll listen to me. And then he applied, right? But then I think he dropped before his interview. I don't think he even interviewed. He just didn't want to. And then every year I tried getting him to do it and nope. But I still have a sister and cousin there. So maybe their senior year, like season, I don't even know what you guys are on now, but
Yeah, no, I did notice a few. I did notice a few other names that will go unsaid that I believe show up in future seasons. So just like Will and Devin and these guys, there's some other people it looks like who applied and then later got their chance.
Without spoilers, there's like a season 9 person on that list, is there not?
Is there?
What?
I can confirm.
Oh, okay. I think I know who it is.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow. How does that even work out? How does it even work out mathematically?
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this. He was my roommate. So, and then he stayed on for a 5th year because of COVID. He's like, this was the dumbest senior year ever. I'm going to do a 5th year. And so that's why he made it through season 9.
Wow.
Wow. So your roommate eventually played?
Yeah, he discovered it because he like heard my phone calls with like Thal and Lavana. And so like, because like I had to keep them on speaker so I could record them back when I recorded things. And so it was like, he would like hear those and just be like, what the hell are you talking about? And turns out he was a Survivor fan too. So he applied season 2, he applied season 6. Someone correct me on that. I don't know. None of y'all can correct me on that. Just kidding. And then he applied again, I think season 7 potentially. Like he applied a few times, and then season 9 he finally got his shot.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Actually goes back when I recorded things. It was just a known thing during season 2. He just did not.
My phone for the entirety of seasons 2, 3, 4 had no storage. It was the dumbest thing. Literally, I would come home every break, be like, Mom, Dad, I need a new phone. I have no storage. They'd be like, why? What's wrong with this phone? And I'm like, I just told you it has no storage. They're like, can you do everything you need to on the phone? I was like, I can't record. What do you need to record? No, I still didn't tell them I wasn't on Survivor, so I couldn't tell them that. And so it was just like nothing, never mind. So it was just like 2, 3, and 4. I had absolutely nothing. And then season 5, I was like, woohoo. So it was ready in time for All Stars. Woohoo.
Could you not just back it up on a computer and then like free up some storage on the phone?
I had the oldest computer in mankind's history. It was like
no storage.
If I took it out of the plug, it died in 5 minutes. It sounded like an airplane taking off and landing every 10 minutes. Like it was a brick that was like 15 pounds, massive. I was just literally, I had very poor technology for 1.5 years to 2 years of my college life. And then everything came and got fixed because of COVID, really. That was the first time I had fully modern things.
So let's talk a little bit about the cast that did get cast. So who do you guys remember? Do you guys remember anything about like who you thought was going to do a really good job, who you were excited about, or just anything about the cast that excited you guys before the season started?
I remember specifically, Jack Tiggleman, who I believe he also applied for season 1. and didn't
Yeah,
make it.
he did.
But he and I are from the same hometown, went to the same high school. So seeing his name, I don't think I interviewed him, but I knew immediately. I was like, oh, he's a character to begin with. So I was glad to see. And since he had already applied, bonus points for that.
Yeah, I just remember thinking that I knew we had a fantastic cast of like personalities specifically. Like that was really what we were trying to like go for in this season, was just a lot of big personalities that were going to be like fun to watch on TV. And I think we obviously did that. So I was just excited for like the fireworks to begin, because I mean, it was just going to happen with this cast.
I remember very distinctly, like pretty early on, because I really didn't know that much about season 1 or what had happened on it, really. And I remember pretty early on, I think it was around the Jeremy vote, I was talking to Mitch and I was like, yo, so like, how do you think the season's going so far? And he was like, dude, this season is absolutely bonkers. Like this is going to be bananas, the stuff that is happening. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like we got into it. We have this whole Maggie Jeremy showmance. It's like, you can't really script stuff this good. I don't know. What were you guys' reactions to that while that was happening?
I mean, I lived in the same dorm and in the same hall as Maggie my freshman year, and it was an all girls dorm, like super small. We had no dining hall, like no air conditioning. It was one of those dorms where it's just an experience. So for me, like I was so excited to see Maggie come back. But then when she started with the whole Boston Rob thing, no. I was like, I'm not doing that again.
I remember Maggie's interview. There was a few questions we asked like pretty consistently at each interview for like survivor-based things. So it was like hero or villain, and I think like out of our cast, 17 people said hero, and Maggie said villain. Like she was the only one that said villain, which made her like an instant cast right there. And then I think
Kevin, there's no way Kevin said he was a hero.
I also feel like there are plenty more people who said villain.
No, there were very few.
Was that an interview question or an application question? Let's see.
And then also brain versus brawn versus beauty we asked. And like, this is how you know you went to Survivor Michigan. Everybody said brain, except I think Maggie might have said beauty also. So it was just like, because she had this 2 different answers, it was like instant cast, no doubt. And then I remember like the Jeremy thing, I didn't think it was that weird until the arch kiss. And the arch kiss, like that went on for 10 seconds. I think that was when everyone was just like, oh, okay, this went from like, oh my God, we got a showman, this is gonna be great, to what the hell's going on,
I remember Maggie's confessionals from around that time. She would give like semi-daily updates about like the Jeremy saga, because she had multiple confessionals just being like, here's what Jeremy and I did last night, here's what I was
Yeah.
It was fantastic as it was happening. Like a Maggie confessional got uploaded and you were just like, yes, I want that update.
Reality TV, which is what we're trying to create, and
Yeah.
handed to us on a silver platter. It was perfect.
Oh, and then the way it like played out was absolute gold. Absolute gold.
Yeah,
That's one of those where it's gold either way. Like if she doesn't play the idol and gets voted out, it's gold. If she plays the idol and votes him out, it's gold,
It was gold once you knew they were probably going to be voting for each other. And if they could convince the other one to not vote for them, then they would likely like save themselves. So that just made them even more like wanting to like really try to play up this whole like flirty angle. And then Maggie like getting the idol added a whole new wrinkle to it. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Another good one. This one's pretty funny for me and Cooper. Kevin and Bailey, the infamous confessional of Kevin and Bailey saying, oh, yes, Cooper, you didn't live there at the time. I was about to say me and Cooper's house, but it wasn't. It was just my house. This was before we lived together. My house sophomore year had a party. We invited all the Survivor people to it. Kevin and Bailey, I actually were I think most of the cast did not come, but Kevin and Bailey did come. And they filmed this confessional in our kitchen, drunk, saying, oh, we're the social winners of Survivor. We're going to win Survivor. And I'm pretty sure that me and my roommates already knew that like Kevin was getting voted out that week. And we were just basically laughing in their faces. And they didn't read into that at all. Didn't seem to notice. So
no, didn't phase them. I would like to say on the point of like when we casted some of these people to how they then played out through the game, Kevin and Bree, 2 of the freshmen that we cast, I remember sitting in on both of their like first week confessionals at Cooper's apartment, and Kevin left, and I look at Cooper and I was like, that freshman boy thinks he's all that and a bag of chips, and he is not. And I was just like so annoyed with him. He really rubbed me the wrong way. And I was just like, how does this man have this much confidence? And then Brie was just like this sweet, quiet little, like, every time she was talking, and just seeing how they then like progressed or like played. I mean, I guess Brie's game didn't last as long. Neither of their games lasted very long, but they definitely made an impact. And now some of our closest friends, it's just really funny to see how they kind of grew and blossomed through the season, as one might say.
Talking about people that their interview and their in-game personality were completely different, Mallory is number one on that list. Yeah. Mallory was loud. She was saying like so much craziness at her interview. And like she walked out and we were just like, oh my God, like who cares about how we feel about her personally? She could be the most entertaining character on this season. Like she's gonna either rub people the wrong way or everyone's gonna love her. Like it's great. And then we go to like day one and Mallory's just like super quiet, like hunched, sitting in a corner. Like I don't think she said like 5 words the entire day. And she's like, I don't know anything about Survivor. And I was like, what? Who is this? That's not who we cast.
Well, maybe she was loud because she thought she was doing a survival show. Like that's what, you know,
yeah,
excited about. Like she runs marathons, like she's really into the outdoors. I think that's what she thought she was interviewing for. Not to speak for her,
that's
but
so funny.
pretty sure that's what she thought she was doing.
That checks out.
No, let's talk about the Mallory of it all for a second. You know, obviously the ending of season 2 is a somewhat semi-controversial ending. For a couple of years, there was a guy who was posting on YouTube every year on the date of the finale release, saying, just coming back to remind everyone, this is the worst episode of Survivor I've ever seen. That everybody who voted for Mallory, like this is like like blight on the human race and like all competition. It was really funny. He posted it at least twice. I don't think he did it last year, but for at least a year or two, this was happening. I thought it was funny. But other fans talk about how this part of what makes it their favorite season of Survivor Michigan is this ending where, this person who didn't know much about the game at the beginning comes into their own and is able to outfox all of these crazy schemers. We looked back through the production chats and all of us, I remember, were pretty surprised though that it looked like Mallory even had a chance. Like, I think, is that fair to say? What do you guys think about that?
I think like somebody uploaded a meeting, like Cupcake. I think it was Jack, Sam, Sarah, and maybe who else? Maybe Maggie was in on it too or whatever. Like the jury met and they like uploaded a video and then they like deleted it because they didn't want us to see it or something. But some of us watched it and they were like talking about tying the vote. And I think we were like, wait, so Mallory could actually win this? Because like Lucy would probably vote for her. And then we're like, no, like I don't think they were serious about it. But it definitely, was not thought to be a possibility until we sort of heard rumblings that they wanted to tie the vote sort of like on purpose, that Mallory would win. But yeah, I think like, from the final 4 and beyond, like backwards, like nobody really thought Mallory really had a great chance. Thought she was playing a good game, but nobody really thought she was going to be the winner until like right before final tribal. So
yeah, I will say the in-game perception was that Nick and Sarah were the 2 biggest threats left for sure. And I think the jury, I don't think production understood enough about how the jury felt about Nick. I think they, like the jury themselves, did not see Nick as having played a good game, like at all. Whether like for one reason or another, they were just like, he keeps getting lucky over and over again. Like we didn't really like him. He rubbed us the wrong way in the season. So I think we definitely did not see that side of the jury until like very shortly before final tribal, when we were all kind of like, oh my God, like this is going to be kind of like a close vote. And we like weren't really expecting it.
Yeah, I will say from a production standpoint, Nick was just super involved in his production chat. He would kind of just like talk to himself and go through his plans in the chat. And he was just, from our perspective, I mean, and it was true, he was extremely like involved in the game and like really passionate about it too. So I think, you naturally want to root for someone who's into it, but we of course, weren't able to see what they were able to see.
And then I think part of our feelings on that winner did have to do with what Matthew said, where there was a video where Cupcake talked about tying the vote and then deleted it to make it even more sketchy. So I think like when the vote then tied, it was like, they didn't actually plan that, did they? Like, was that their, like, did they just want an interesting ending? And I think once we talked to the like jurors a little bit afterwards and like got all of their actual opinions and realized, no, this was their actual opinion, it just ended up leading in a tie. I think we all felt a little bit more comfortable about the season because it was like a little bit of that dirty feeling of like, did they just like collude to try and force that and lead to, and like screwing over Nick essentially? And then once it was like, no, this is how the jury actually felt, which again, like Cooper said, we didn't even realize that's how the jury felt. But once we realized that's how the jury felt, it was like, okay, you know, Mallory won the jury. That's what the game's about.
Yeah. I remember I was in, this is slight deviation, but the Final Four challenge, I remember just the most shocking moment of the season for me wasn't Mallory winning. It was them giving up the immunity to Lucy. And then Lucy just, I remember I had a video of that on my phone. And I remember right after that showing it to a few of my roommates who didn't also knew anything about Survivor. I was just like, yo, just watch this. And they just watched Lucy for like 7 minutes, begging Nick to give it to her, promising, swearing that she would. And then the look on Nick's face afterwards, I just remember was like, this is like like in those top 5 anime betrayals of all time. That's got to be up there near the top.
That was a fantastic end to that challenge. And like Sarah and Nick being on the same corner of that, and then like them both thinking,
how did she?
That they both thought so much that Lucy and Mallory were going to vote with them. They were both so convinced. They were just like, I just need to make the other person lose, which was crazy that they didn't just stand there all night.
Yeah, because it's crazy that they both knowing they want to get rid of each other are fine with the other one. Like both of them are like, the other person also thinks they're comfortable enough to be doing this, you know? So it should be freaking them out even more.
Yeah. They both were
just needed the other not to win, basically.
Yeah.
They were both so
Especially Sarah's
confident they had like one leg up. Sorry, Brittany.
No, I was like Sarah was so strategic. I mean, like she had everything planned out, you know, she was always one step ahead. So yeah, that was shocking. Like, I don't know if she would ever admit if she was just genuinely cold, because it was like freezing out there and you're walking in a circle.
Oh.
So I'm sure that contributed.
I believe
that she thought that the other one was gonna outlast them. They were both convinced that they were gonna lose. So they were like, I need to make this deal.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I'll ask Sarah when we talk to her in a few days. I think she said that she had something to get to and had to drop. It was her dog's birthday party. Her dog was having a birthday party and she was like, I actually have to leave to go do that.
I remember a challenge in Mason where we had the wrong answer keys, but that was one of the first disasters we had where we had to like figure out on the fly what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the wrong answer? It was for
it was
challenge.
I think we had,
I want to say it was.
No, it was a miscommunication. Partly on my part.
What happened?
We had done different. It was the one, maybe it was final 7, final 6 or whatever, where they had to run downstairs and memorize a puzzle. And I think I had an old answer key. Like we had done like just colors, and then we did like letter or like colors in something, and then I switched them. And so I had an old answer key that I'd given to Cooper upstairs. And then
Cooper kept saying they were wrong when they weren't wrong.
Mike was convinced he was right. And then I think we just like got a text. I was down in the lobby and we're like, wait, this doesn't add up. And then we went upstairs and figured it out.
Yeah.
So pretty much on me.
Yeah, when I started checking multiple people's and they had the same mistake on them, I was like, like something's weird. I was like, that's too much of a coincidence for them to be like making the same mistake, because it was like a large board. So like for them to have like the same exact part of it wrong, I was like, that doesn't seem likely. I was like, what's going on here?
Also remember that was the challenge that like Lucy's like aunt and 2 young cousins were like sitting there watching us. And we're like,
sisters came. Yeah.
Why is this the challenge that they watched? Like the one challenge where we had an absolute disaster is the one where we had people watching.
They were there for the tribal before, which was when Maggie got voted out. And I think like Maggie asked them to leave because she's like, I don't want these like young kids in here. I'm gonna kind of go off for tribal. So they left and then they came back in for the challenge, which was also sort of a mess.
Well, speaking of Lucy's relatives, where did the idea for the loved ones visit come from? At the time I think that's the first time that was done in College Survivor. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that was a pretty unique way of doing that real Survivor thing. Who came up with that idea? Like, I feel like that was a lot of fun.
I didn't come up with it, but I remember begging Claire, like every week I would ask Claire, like, is it the loved ones? Is it the loved ones? Even though like logistically that made no sense, but I like always asked for it. Never happened. So I'm sure, did someone want, maybe Sarah Gallagher?
It must have been something because you all played and didn't get to have it. And like with so many of you being such big fans, I feel like it was just something like, okay, how can we make this happen? That you all wanted it to happen. I agree though. It was super unique, so fun too.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely used around like the college survivor sphere now of like just like bringing a friend to a challenge and like doing that. So I feel like we did start something kind of cool there, like that and the scavenger hunt. I feel like are two things that like within college survivor, like we definitely kind of started, which is kind of cool. But yeah, the loved ones challenge, it was like, that was just so funny because like bringing it, like obviously all the contestants knew who they had brought to like the challenge. They had to like text them beforehand, but then having them like fake like walking in and like giving them a big hug, like they haven't seen them in like years or whatever was so funny. Like literally every single interaction, if you go back and watch it, is like funny.
Yeah.
We know a lot of the, like the loved ones now too, like here and there, at least a few of them.
Yeah, like Tate, Lucy's loved one, she helped produce seasons 3 and some of the later seasons. Sam, the guy, didn't Sam have one of his friends on who we're friends with now?
Yeah, it was Frank. I had met Frank before.
I remember a funny part of the Love One Challenge for me was that Sarah Z's brother went to high school with me, and I actually knew him pretty well. But somehow I had never put it together, even though they had the same last name, that they were related. Because Sarah went to Pioneer and she went to a different high school than we did, even though they were siblings. And somehow I just never put it together in my head that they were the same, even though once I knew they actually looked extremely similar. And so he walks in and I was like, yo, like, what are you doing here? And he was like, oh, I'm here for this fucking whatever this is, some Survivor thing. Like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm filming this. And he was like, yeah, I figured you might be. He was like, because in high school, I was always attached to any sort of filming thing going on. And he was like, yeah, I just sort of had some sort of sense that if there was some weird filming project happening, you would be involved in it somehow. So I'm not surprised to see you as you are to see me. And that was funny. But
Nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. I later asked him if he watched the season and he said that he can't watch Sarah do this stuff. It's too cringe. But
love that sibling support.
So siblings not the most supportive people when it comes to Survivor. It seems like somebody asked us in the submitted question, someone asked us, how in the hell did AJ get cast?
That's a great question.
Let's see what we wrote.
The only person to ever try to vote themselves out of the game. He literally wanted to vote for himself, and you guys didn't let him.
The interview comments, we said doesn't know the game well, doesn't like schemers or big personalities, good storyteller, and somebody wrote hot. So
somebody wrote hot.
Oh. Which like true. But I think that actually, going back to Cooper's note earlier on, we were trying to look for a variety of people in the cast, which included variety of knowledge of the game. We didn't just want all big fans, people who knew the game super well, game bots type of situation. So I remember specifically that was part of our casting conversation was, okay, how, like, let's balance it out. That way, maybe some of these people who don't know it as well, we can get the dynamic of other people taking them under their wing. And I mean, you know, it plays well sometimes, it plays well, or it doesn't play well sometimes. So
I also do remember there was a full-on debate like the week before, not the week before, like a couple days before he got voted out. Will he quit or will he let himself get voted out? And we were almost like hoping he would quit because it would make a more interesting end to that episode. Just because it would be like, oh, it'd be the first quit. And I remember me specifically, I was trying to get Cooper to like make him quit and be like super mean at Tribal. Just be like, Ajay, why are you even here? Like, if you don't want to be here, just quit, sort of thing. Just like, because I wanted something interesting, because that we were expecting to just be the most boring Tribal ever. And then lo and behold, he tries to vote himself out.
Him voting for himself is hilarious.
Yeah. And Matthew's voice just being like, no, you
I was
can't
like, wait,
write the name down.
I'm glad I remembered that. I'm glad I remembered on the spot because nobody had any idea he was going to do that. And then I was like,
yeah,
oh, wait a second. Yeah, you can't.
It's good that we had Matthew there. He always makes sure that people don't vote for someone that they can't.
Most of the time, almost perfect track record.
Yeah, he's always good about that.
All-Stars tease. Yeah, I'm mostly good at it.
It was like, how was it for you guys? You know, producing versus playing. Did you enjoy it more or less, or you know, how was it different?
A lot less stressful. I mean, I think it was a lot of fun. It was I mean, it was a new experience to kind of be like, you know, a lot of us had like seen a bunch of seasons, but to like watch a season play out, it was sort of like, you know, like the live feeds and Big Brother, you know, sort of like every day there's something new and you really get to watch the game progress. So it was like a new level of immersion, you know, into the game that was a lot of fun. So yeah.
I also just Sarah Gallagher went home first, so none of us really got a chance to know her until production. And I think that was great because like I didn't know Sarah Gallagher. I didn't know Katie and Ian, obviously. Me and Brittany were not friends by the end of season 1. And then she went to become like one of my favorite people from the entirety of season 1, probably thanks to this season and like just us being able to talk in a non-combative, non-survivor setting. And then just like getting to know Cooper, Matthew, Mitch better. It was great. It was just great getting to know people as humans rather than like survivor players. And then also getting to meet Katie and Ian because I had never met them before.
Playing and producing are just so different. Playing is such like a competitive environment where like producing, you're sort of trying to make it the exact opposite environment. Especially that first season, we were really trying to start a club and like more of a community, like with like at Michigan. So I mean, obviously people are competitive and they want to win, but we also were super focused on trying to make sure that everybody was having a good time and becoming friends, like within production, within players, but also a lot like between the two, like production and players kind of all becoming friends. So there was a lot of focus on that, which was really cool. Cause I think season 1 and 2 people, like production season 1 and like season 2 players are like all very close friends at this point because of that was such a focus during that season.
Yeah, I actually, sorry, going off of that, sorry, Ian. Just I know the season 2 people, like just like we were really supportive to George and Claire because it was 2 people doing everything. I feel like season 2 was really supportive to us as a production because it was our first time doing it also. And so whenever there were these issues, like the final 7 challenge and Mason could have been a shit show, and everyone just kind of accepted. Like I think Lucy was mad for like one night, and then it was like, okay, back to the game. You know, and then so like it was a lot of just like, yeah, there's growing pains that are going to happen, and the cast was really, really polite and kind about that and giving us that time.
I will say too, having produced seasons 2 through 5, season 2 was by far my favorite having produced because of, I think having had such a small production, there were less discussions, less heated discussions about what was going on. And like Cooper said, we were really starting, like trying to foster a good relationship between production and the cast to make sure people wanted to join production after the fact. And I mean, it's bound to happen no matter what, but as groups grow, there's going to be more opinions, more voices. And I think at this point, we're a full-fledged club and it's amazing. It's definitely harder when there's like a massive production and a massive cast to foster that sense of community because there's just going to be so many people and too many things going on. So I think we were really fortunate to have the small group that we did this season. And yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't play, so it was fun for me regardless, getting to produce this time. But I don't know, Brittany, if you had any other thoughts on like playing versus producing.
Yeah, I can only speak positively about season 2. I feel like season 1 was just every, possible emotion we went through a lot. It was pretty cool getting to do production with Mitch, especially just because, I mean, we just kept playing and playing and that semester went on and on. So to then get a different experience together and then to have like Matthew, Akshay, Cooper, and then Sarah, who we hadn't met, and then to meet you and Ian as well, it just made it so much fun. And then also I think what Cooper was saying just about like the connections like that we formed with the season 2 people, like Mallory, for example. I had never filmed a single confessional with her, but just from all the times we spent with them, like I got to know her through that. And then it turned out we were both like over a year later going to attend the same like small medical school, and like now she's one of my like really good friends today, like just because of the season 1 like season 2 dynamic. So yeah, only good things to say.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I've always said that like George and Claire created Survivor Michigan, the concept and like the show, and you guys really created the club basically in the sense that there was no intent to continue it beyond season 1, and those guys did an incredible job starting it, but keeping it going was just as hard and building it into something that was going to continue on and on.
was maybe even harder. So I think that really like how much you guys reached out to the season 2 people and made it really start to feel like a tight knit community really helped and goes to show how good of a job you did since it's still going on today. Personally, I mean, season 2 was the first like Survivor season that I like. I mean, I binge watched that one season of Maryland, but I didn't understand what I was watching, you know? And then, so for me, season 2 is like my first Survivor. And so that's like, it's like always gonna be one of my favorite seasons just because it was the first one I understood what was happening and followed along with and stuff. So anything else anyone really needs to add? Somebody asked, when did season 2 air in relation to All Stars? Because that is sort of interesting. In season 4, if you watched it, there was a storyline of season 1 coming out and how that impacted Matthew in particular, because he was on season 1. And All Stars, when All Stars was being filmed and being played, season 2 was coming out. So All Stars is slightly different in that most of the cast already knew most of the stuff that had happened in all of the seasons anyways, through like talking to each other and osmosis and being on production and stuff. But that did have an impact on how they viewed those particular players, because there's a difference between hearing about people's games and seeing it and seeing what they say in their confessionals and what they really are thinking. That could definitely have an impact on some of the players and how people may have viewed them. So I definitely think that was tough on the season 2 players, and we'll have to see how that shakes out for them.
There were a ton of season 2 people on All Stars too. There was like 8 or 10 or something, some massive number.
There was 6.
I think there was 6.
There was 6 of them. Any other thoughts on season 2 or talking about it all these years later? I guess this will probably be the last one of these podcasts for some of you guys. But
For me, for sure. I haven't even watched seasons 3 and 4. So actually, I started season 3 a couple days ago. I got one episode in again, and maybe I'll try again next year.
Honestly,
promotion.
Fair. I have not finished a single season of Survivor Michigan. I have not watched anything at all, and I'm like,
you haven't watched season 2?
I did not. I mean, no, I was there. I know what happens.
Really? See, for me, I loved watching season 2. I don't, just because we were there, like, I don't know, just seeing like it come to life.
I think like nowadays it might be more fun. Like now that I'm a little more like distant from when it actually happened, it would be fun to watch in like memories and stuff. But no, I usually like stop watching around the merge and then I'll watch the finale.
I will say, Ian, you did a damn good job in season 2, because I remember when a lot of us were like living it. We were obviously biased, but we all felt season 1 was way more exciting, way more interesting. Like it was just not going to be a very exciting season. And I remember I told my sister, I was like, this is not as good of a season as season 1. Like, just let me lower expectations right away. And like, as I was watching it, I was like, this seems like it's the most exciting season ever. And like, I lived through it and I know what's going to happen. And it's still super exciting. Like you made the Ajay vote seem exciting. Like, is he going to get voted out or not? Like, you did so well on this season, even the potentially boring moments, and just well done for how well you did the season.
Thank you. I have like mixed feelings on the actual edit of season 2, because it was the first one I did. And I think that the other ones were like a lot better in terms of just the tightness of the editing. And in particular, there's like one moment in episode 10, I believe, when the music, you just cannot hear for like 20 seconds what anyone is saying. And because the other thing with season 2 was I finished 9 episodes before school started. The season was airing in the fall, and the premiere was like right before school started again. And I finished 9 episodes out of 12. And I thought, I have 9 weeks to finish the last 3 episodes. This is gonna be fine. But then school started. We started filming All Stars. A million other things are going on. I'm a senior. I'm in a million other clubs too. Next thing you know, it's the night before episode 10 is supposed to come out, and it's like not done. And the last 3 episodes of season 2, it's like a miracle they even exist, because I was editing them literally the day they were coming out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's a video of me editing part of the finale at a basketball game in Chrysler. I was the biggest weight I've ever felt, like, like the weight of working on an essay or something and finishing it. The straight up greatest like individual weight I have ever felt lifted in my life was when I pressed export on the season 2 finale about 2 hours before it was supposed to air. And I just remember literally feeling like it felt like a physical weight had been lifted. I remember being like, I will never feel this good again for the rest of my life. And then we were just watching it, and I was just praying that there was nothing wrong with it, because I didn't have time to watch it again before uploading it. But the flip side, that seems to be part of what season 2 is like, the cult classic of Survivor Michigan, I'd say, in terms of the way Twitter, Discord, the fans see it. I think part of this is the only one that feels super raw in terms of like, it feels the most like just regular people playing Survivor and just like being kind of like how, like just throwing them into it, you know, versus I think all of our other seasons are a little more game body.
Yeah. We also just had so much more time to plan for the other seasons. Like we were like, this is how we should be filming at challenges and tribals. And like this is what we should be asking in confessionals. And we had much longer time to like plan out the whole season ahead of time. Like season 2 was just so rushed, and it was just like, it was chaos for most of it. That's
organized chaos.
Yeah, I think
probably why that
carried us in the beginning, and then we figured out what we were doing.
Yeah,
I think the fact that us as production kind of came into it a little less organized and a little more casual about a lot of things kind of like bled into how the players felt about it and how they appeared on camera too. So that's, yeah, the whole thing just worked out.
Well, it was great to talk to all of you guys again. And, you know, for everybody out there watching, you know, stay tuned for more. We'll be doing season 3 next, Mazed and Confused, the one of the wilder seasons in terms of drama and behind the scenes. There's a lot of juicy tidbits from that season. So stay tuned, and you know, you can go back, check out season 2 and relive the whole thing on YouTube. All the moments, Maggie, Jeremy, Kevin Bailey, Sarah Avery, Lucy, the whole Nick, everybody, the whole gang, Mike, Jack, whatever, you know, Sam, all the crazy people.
All your favorites, yeah.
All of your favorites, yeah. So, yeah.